Hey everyone, welcome to another mind-blowing video. Today we're diving into one of humanity's most intriguing mysteries, UFOs. What's your take on these unidentified flying objects? And what's the deal with the US government in all this? Buckle up because we're about to explore it all. If you enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. So let's get started and unravel these cosmic secrets. The desert sky stretches endlessly above Nevada, stars piercing the darkness like pinpricks in a velvet curtain. Somewhere out there, a faint light hovers, silent and unexplainable. It moves in ways no plane could, darting, pausing, then vanishing into the night. For those who've seen such things, the question isn't whether something strange exists, it's what the United States government knows and why they've kept it hidden for so long. The story of UFOs in America begins decades ago with a small town in New Mexico called Roswell. In 1947, headlines screamed of a crashed flying saucer, only for the military to call it a weather balloon. The incident became a cultural touchstone, fueling whispers of cover-ups and secret bases. Area 51, a remote military outpost in the Nevada desert, grew into a symbol of those secrets, its name synonymous with things the public wasn't meant to understand. But in 2025, the conversation has shifted. No longer confined to conspiracy forums, UFOs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, as officials now call them, are a matter of public record, debated in Congress and dissected on social media. Over the past 5 years, a wave of evidence has emerged. Declassified Pentagon reports, grainy videos from Navy pilots, and first-hand accounts from credible witnesses have forced a reckoning. In March 2025, a leaked memo surfaced, claiming the military had recovered non-human technology in Nevada. The document, though unverified, spread like wildfire across platforms like X, where users posted blurry photos and cryptic warnings under hashtags like UAP Truth. The public's curiosity became a demand for answers. Dr. Elizabeth Carter, an astrophysicist at MIT, has spent years studying the data behind these sightings. In a quiet office lined with star charts, she explains the shift in perspective. The term UFO conjures images of science fiction, she says, her voice steady but animated. But UAPs are about evidence. Objects moving at speeds and in ways our technology can't replicate. We're talking hypersonic velocities, no visible propulsion systems, and maneuvers that defy inertia. This is no longer a question of belief, it's a question of physics. Carter points to a 2021 incident off the coast of San Diego, detailed in a declassified Pentagon report released in January 2025. A Navy destroyer, the USS Russell, was shadowed by a fleet of small glowing orbs for 3 days. The objects moved erratically, diving into the ocean and re-emerging without a trace. The report labeled the encounter a national security threat, but offered no conclusions. For Carter, the lack of answers is telling. If these were foreign drones, we'd have heard about it, she says. The silence suggests something else. Military encounters are only part of the story. Across the country, ordinary people are reporting similar phenomena. Jason Miller, a truck driver from Flagstaff, Arizona, recounts a night in April 2024 that changed his view of the world. Sitting on his porch, the desert sky sprawling behind him, he describes driving along Interstate 40 when a massive triangular object appeared overhead. It was silent, bigger than a football field with these pulsing lights, he says, his hands gesturing to convey its size. It hovered above my truck for maybe 30 seconds, then shot off like it was never there. I've driven that route for 10 years. I've never seen anything like it. Miller's account echoes thousands of others. In 2024, the National UFO Reporting Center recorded over 9,000 sightings, a quarter of them involving triangular craft with no audible engines. A map of the United States would show clusters of reports in the Southwest, California, and the Northeast, red dots marking moments of wonder and unease. These stories, shared in diner conversations and live-streamed on social media, form a tapestry of shared experience. Yet the government's response remains elusive. In February 2025, A congressional hearing on UAPs drew national attention. A senator pressed a Pentagon official on whether the military possessed physical evidence of non-human craft. The official's reply was vague. "I can't discuss classified programs." The room erupted in murmurs, and online, ex-users labeled it a cover-up. Posts flooded the platform, one showing a grainy image of a metallic object half buried in Nevada sand captioned, "March 2025 explain this." The history of secrecy stretches back decades. Project Blue Book, the Air Force's UFO investigation from 1947 to 1969, catalogued thousands of sightings but dismissed most as natural phenomena. Declassified files released in 2023 revealed a different story. Investigators knew some cases, couldn't be explained but were instructed to downplay them. The truth, it seems, was always just out of reach. This journey will take us deep into the evidence, sightings, documents, and the voices of those who've seen the impossible. We'll explore what the government might be hiding, and whether the answer lies beyond our world or closer to home. The story begins with a single event that shook the desert in 2025, the Nevada incident. In March of that year, a rancher named Tom Hargrove stumbled across something extraordinary in the sands outside Rachel, Nevada. What he found, and the government's swift response, would ignite a firestorm of questions that no one could ignore. The desert sun rises over a rocky outcrop, casting long shadows across the sand. A faint metallic glint catches the light, half buried and out of place. The air hums with possibility, and the story is just beginning. The Nevada desert is a place of secrets, its vast emptiness hiding more than just sand and sagebrush. On March 12, 2025, Tom Hargrove, a rancher who'd spent 30 years tending cattle near Rachel, Nevada, set out to check his fences after a storm. The morning was crisp, the sky a pale blue, and the only sound was the crunch of his boots on the gravel. As he approached a dry wash near the base of a rocky hill, something caught his eye. A metallic glint, unnatural against the dull earth. What he found there would spark a chain of events that reached far beyond the desert. Hargrove described the object as a disc, roughly 30 feet across, half buried in the sand. Its surface was smooth, like polished chrome, with no visible seams or markings. It didn't look like any aircraft he'd ever seen, and living near Area 51, he'd seen plenty. The air around it felt strange, he later said, like a faint hum vibrating in his chest. He took a few photos with his phone, the images blurry but unmistakable, and called his wife Ellen to come see it. By the time she arrived, military vehicles were already rolling in. The response was swift and overwhelming. Within hours, the site was cordoned off by unmarked black SUVs and personnel in hazmat suits. Hargrove and his wife were escorted away, told to stay silent for national security reasons. But the photos he'd taken were already on their way to a friend in Las Vegas, who posted them on X with the caption, "Found near Area 51, not ours." The images spread rapidly, amassing millions of views before the account was mysteriously suspended. By nightfall, the story of the Nevada incident was global news. In a small diner in Rachel, Tom Hargrove sits across from us, his weathered hands wrapped around a coffee mug. His eyes dart to the window, as if expecting someone to interrupt. "I've lived here my whole life," he says, his voice low. No military tech when I see it. That thing wasn't human-made, no bolts, no rivets, just perfect. And the way they swooped in, they knew exactly what it was." Hargrove's story might have been dismissed as another desert tale, if not for what followed. 3 days later, on March 15, 2025, a whistleblower claiming to be a former Area 51 contractor leaked a document to an independent journalist. The memo, stamped classified, described a non-terrestrial artifact recovered in Nevada, with properties that defied known metallurgy. Phrases like anomalous energy signatures and potential biological traces stood out amid the redactions. The Pentagon neither confirmed nor denied its authenticity, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Dr. Marcus Reed, a former DARPA engineer turned UFO researcher, has studied the leaked memo closely. In a cluttered home office filled with books and star maps, He points to a grainy scan of the document projected on his wall. "This isn't just a smoking gun," he says, his voice tinged with excitement. "It's a cannon." The materials described here, alloys that shift under electromagnetic fields, structures that absorb radar, don't exist in our tech tree. If this is real, it's either extraterrestrial or a black project so advanced it might as well be. Reed's analysis aligns with a growing body of evidence. In April 2025, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a 2024 Air Force report mentioning unidentified debris at multiple sites in the Southwest. The report was heavily redacted, but one line stood out: materials exhibit non-standard isotopic ratios. For scientists like Reed, this suggests something not of Earth, as isotopes in extraterrestrial materials often differ from those found naturally here. But the Nevada incident wasn't just about the object itself. Eyewitnesses reported strange activity in the days that followed. Ellen Hargrove, Tom's wife, recalls seeing low-flying helicopters and unusual lights in the sky near their ranch. "They weren't stars," she says, sitting beside her husband in the diner. "They moved too fast, zigzagging like fireflies, and the dogs wouldn't stop barking for days." Similar accounts came from others in Rachel, with some posting videos on X showing orbs hovering near the cordoned-off site. The public's reaction was a mix of awe and frustration. On X, users debated whether the object was alien, a secret military prototype, or a hoax. A viral post from a Desert Watcher 2025 read, "They've been testing stuff out here for years. Now they can't hide it anymore." Another user shared a shaky video of military trucks leaving the site under cover of darkness, a tarp-covered shape loaded on a flatbed. The caption, "Taking it to Area 51." The government's silence only deepened the mystery. In a rare press conference on March 20, 2025, a Department of Defense spokesperson called the incident an ongoing investigation and urged the public to avoid speculation. But speculation was inevitable. A Gallup poll from April 2025 showed 68% of Americans believed the government was withholding information about UAPs, the highest figure in decades. For those who've studied UFO history, the Nevada incident feels like a turning point. Linda Howe, a veteran investigative journalist who's covered UFOs since the 1980s, sees parallels with past events. In a cozy living room, surrounded by files and old photographs, she reflects on the government's pattern of deflection. Roswell, Kecksburg, Rendlesham Forest, they all follow the same playbook, she says. Something crashes or appears, the military locks it down, and we're told it's nothing. But the Nevada incident is different. It's too public, too messy, they can't bury this one. Howe points to a declassified 2023 CIA memo that admitted to limited recovery operations of unidentified objects in the 1950s. The document, though vague, hints at a long-standing program to study such materials. For Howe, the Nevada incident suggests that program never ended. They've had decades to reverse engineer whatever they've found, she says. The question is, what have they learned? As the dust settled in Rachel, the object itself vanished into the labyrinth of military secrecy. Rumors swirled that it was taken to a secure facility, Area 51, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, or somewhere deeper underground. But the questions it raised couldn't be contained. Why was the military so quick to act? What did the object's materials reveal? And why in 2025 are we still left with fragments of truth? The Nevada incident is only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, a retired Navy pilot would come forward with a story of his own, one that connects the dots between military encounters and the secrets buried in the desert. The sun sets over the Nevada hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Somewhere in the distance, a faint light flickers, too deliberate to be a star. The story is far from over. The ocean stretches out beneath a gray dawn, its surface restless with waves. Somewhere off the coast of Virginia, a Navy jet streaks through the sky, its pilot scanning the horizon. In 2015, this was the routine for Commander David Fravor, a seasoned aviator with the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group. But one November morning, his routine shattered. What he encountered that day would haunt him for years. And in April 2025, he decided to speak again, this time with details he'd never shared before. Fravor's story isn't new to those who follow UFOs. His 2004 encounter with a tic-tac-shaped object, captured on video and later declassified, became a cornerstone of the modern UAP movement. The object, roughly 40 feet long, moved at impossible speeds, diving from 80,000 feet to sea level in seconds, with no visible propulsion. Fravor described it as unlike anything in the Navy's arsenal, a sentiment echoed by his wingman and radar operators aboard the USS Princeton. The Pentagon's 2020 release of the Tic Tac video sparked global fascination. But Fravor always hinted he knew more than he could say. In a quiet Virginia Beach coffee shop, Fravor sits across from us, his posture relaxed, but his eyes sharp. Now retired, he's free from the constraints of active duty, and his decision to speak in 2025 comes after the Nevada incident reignited public interest. "I've been sitting on this for a decade," he says, stirring his coffee. "What I saw in 2004 wasn't a one-off. It wasn't just the tic-tac. There were others, objects we tracked for weeks, sometimes months, and we were told to keep quiet." Fravor's expanded account, first shared in a viral X thread on April 10, 2025, describes a pattern of encounters during his deployment. The Nimitz group detected multiple UAPs, some as small as a basketball, others larger than a commercial jet. They appeared on radar, vanished, then reappeared miles away. One incident, never publicized, involved an object that hovered beneath the ocean's surface, emitting a faint glow visible from Fravor's cockpit. "It was like looking at a city underwater," he says. "No bubbles, no wake, just light. Then it shot straight up and was gone." His story aligns with a 2025 Navy report, partially declassified in March, that details subsurface UAP activity off the US coast. The report, obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, mentions objects moving at speeds exceeding 200 knots underwater, defying known hydrodynamics. For Fravor, this is personal validation. "They've known about this since at least the 90s, he says. "The tech we're seeing isn't Russian or Chinese. It's either ours, and they're lying to us, or it's not from here." The implications are staggering, and they resonate beyond the military. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, a marine physicist at Scripps Institution of Oceanography, has studied the Navy's subsurface data. In a sunlit lab overlooking the Pacific, she explains the science. "Water is dense resistant," she says, gesturing to a computer model of ocean currents. "For something to move that fast underwater without cavitation or heat signatures, it's rewriting what we think is possible. These aren't vehicles, they're phenomena." Nguyen's research intersects with civilian reports. In May 2024, a fishing crew off Monterey, California, recorded a glowing object diving into the sea. The video, posted on X, shows a bright orb descending at an angle, leaving no ripples. The captain, Maria Lopez, shares her story from the deck of her boat, the ocean glinting behind her. "It was there 1 second, gone the next," she says, her voice steady but awed. "The water didn't even splash. My crew thought it was a missile, but missiles don't glow like that." Lopez's sighting is one of dozens along the Pacific coast in 2024 and 2025, many clustered near military installations. A map of these incidents would show a line of dots from San Diego to Puget Sound, with outliers in the Gulf of Mexico. The National UFO Reporting Center logged 1,200 ocean-related sightings in 2024 alone, a 30% increase from the previous year. For researchers like Nguyen, the pattern suggests intent. "These objects aren't random," she says. "They're interacting with our environment, our ships, our oceans. Why?" Fravor's confession also raises questions about the government's response. He claims that after his 2004 encounter, his squadron was debriefed by unidentified officials who collected their data and instructed them to avoid public discussion. A 2025 whistleblower report, leaked to the New York Times in April, corroborates this. The document, attributed to a Pentagon insider, describes a secretive unit called ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, that operated beyond congressional oversight. Its mission? To study UAPs and, allegedly, to suppress information. The whistleblower's claims sent shockwaves through Washington. In a heated Senate hearing on April 15, 2025, lawmakers demanded clarity on AATIP's activities. A Department of Defense official admitted the program existed, but downplayed its scope, calling it a low-priority study. Ex-users weren't convinced, with posts like SkyTruth 2025 reading, "They've been tracking UAPs for decades and call it low priority. Just cover up." Another user shared a grainy photo of a hangar at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, captioned, "Where they keep the good stuff." For those who followed UFO history, ATIP isn't a surprise. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist from Part 2, has long suspected a shadow program. In her living room, surrounded by decades of research, she connects Fravor's story to older cases. "The Navy's been seeing these things since World War II, she says, holding up a 1944 report of Foo Fighters, glowing orbs that tailed Allied planes. They've had 80 years to study this. If Fravor's talking now, it's because the dam is breaking. Fravor himself isn't sure what he believes. "I'm not saying aliens," he says, leaning back in his chair. "I'm saying we don't have the tech to do what I saw. Someone or something does." His words linger. A challenge to the official narrative. The Tic Tac video, once a curiosity, now feels like a glimpse into a larger truth. As spring turned to summer in 2025, Fravor's confession inspired others to come forward. A retired Air Force technician, stationed at a base in New Mexico, would soon share a story that ties the Nevada incident to a decades-old secret buried in the desert. The sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Virginia coast. In the distance, a faint light moves low over the water, too fast to be a ship, too silent to be a plane. The questions keep growing. The New Mexico desert is a land of extremes, where the sun scorches the earth by day and the stars burn cold at night. In the summer of 2025, a retired Air Force technician named Robert Salazar chose this stark landscape to tell a story he'd kept buried for nearly 2 decades. His account, first shared in a small Albuquerque community center and later amplified on X, ties the Nevada incident to a secret he witnessed at Holloman Air Force Base in 2007. As the crowd leaned in, Salazar's voice was steady, but his hands trembled, betraying the weight of his words. Salazar was a radar specialist tasked with maintaining surveillance systems at Holloman, a base known for its stealth technology testing. In October 2007, he was called to a restricted hangar at 3 a.m. for what he thought was a routine calibration. Instead, he found himself face to face with something extraordinary. Inside the hangar, under harsh fluorescent lights, was a metallic object, disc-shaped, about 20 feet in diameter. Its surface shimmered, reflecting the light in ways that seemed to bend the air around it. "It wasn't ours," Salazar says, sitting in a modest living room, a faded Air Force cap on the table beside him. No welds, no panels, just one smooth piece. It felt alive, like it was watching us. The object, he was told, had been recovered after a crash in the desert near White Sands. A small team of engineers, none wearing standard Air Force uniforms, was analyzing it. Salazar's job was to monitor radar data, but he overheard fragments of their conversation, terms like quantum resonance and non-local energy. When he asked questions, he was met with a curt warning: "You didn't see this." Days later, the object was gone and Salazar was reassigned. He kept silent until the Nevada incident, and Commander Fravor's confession gave him the courage to speak. Salazar's story, shared on X on June 5, 2025, exploded online with users comparing it to the Nevada disk described by Tom Hargrove. A blurry photo, allegedly from a base insider, surfaced alongside his post, showing a similar object in a hangar. The caption read, "Holloman 2007, they've had them for years." The post garnered millions of views before being flagged and removed, though screenshots continued to circulate. On X, a UAP insider wrote, "Salazar's not lying. Holloman's been a storage site since the 50s. UAP truth." To understand Salazar's claims, we turn to Dr. Paul Whitaker, a materials scientist who studied alleged UFO artifacts. In a cluttered lab at Caltech, surrounded by spectrometers and microscopes, Whitaker explains the science behind such objects. If Salazar's description is accurate, we're talking about materials that don't align with our periodic table, he says, sketching a molecular structure on a whiteboard. A seamless, reflective alloy that manipulates light or energy could imply nanotechnology centuries beyond ours, or something entirely alien. Whitaker points to a 2025 Department of Energy report, partially declassified in May, that mentions anomalous materials recovered from unspecified sites. The report describes substances with self-healing properties and variable density, characteristics that match Salazar's account. For Whitaker, this isn't speculation. The government's been studying these materials for decades, he says. The question is what they've built with them. Salazar's story also resonates with local witnesses. Maria Gonzalez, a retiree living near Holloman, recalls unusual activity in 2007. Sitting on her porch, the desert stretching behind her, she describes seeing convoys of unmarked trucks leaving the base at night. They had these big tarps over the loads, she says, her voice soft but certain. And the sky was lit up with strange lights, moving too fast to be helicopters. We all knew something was happening. Gonzalez shared a shaky video on X in June 2025, showing faint orbs darting above the desert. The clip, though grainy, fueled speculation that Holloman was a hub for UAP activity. The historical context supports this idea. Holloman and nearby White Sands have long been linked to UFO lore. The 1947 Roswell crash, just 100 miles away, set the stage, and declassified documents from 2023 reveal that White Sands was a testing ground for recovered technology in the 1950s. A 2025 Freedom of Information Act release uncovered a 1965 memo referencing Project Moondust, a program to retrieve foreign space objects in the Southwest. For researchers, Salazar's story fits a pattern of secrecy stretching back generations. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist who's tracked UFOs for decades, sees Salazar's account as a breakthrough. In her living room, surrounded by stacks of files, she pulls out a 1980s report from a Holloman whistleblower who described similar objects. "This isn't new," she says, her voice firm. The military has a network of bases, Holloman, Wright-Patterson, Area 51, where they store and study these things. Salazar's just confirming what others have whispered for years. The public's reaction to Salazar's story was electric. A July 2025 protest outside Holloman drew hundreds, with signs reading, "Disclose the truth and no more lies." X-posts tagged "Chan Holloman cover-up" trended for days. One user sharing a leaked audio clip of an alleged Air Force officer saying, "The public isn't ready." The Pentagon issued a statement denying any extraterrestrial activity at Holloman, but the denial only deepened skepticism. A Pew Research poll from July 2025 found 72% of Americans believed the government was hiding evidence of non-human technology. Salazar himself remains cautious. "I'm not saying it's aliens," he says, leaning forward, his eyes searching. "I'm saying what I saw wasn't from here, and they didn't want anyone to know." His words echo Commander Fravers, a shared frustration with the wall of silence. For Salazar, speaking out has come at a cost. Harassment, accusations of fraud. But he stands by his story. The technician's tale is a thread in a larger tapestry, one that connects the Nevada incident to a hidden history. As the summer of 2025 unfolded, a new voice would emerge. A scientist who claims to have worked on reverse engineering UAP technology, offering a glimpse into what the government might have learned. The desert night falls over New Mexico, the stars sharp against the black sky. A faint hum, almost imperceptible, lingers in the air. The truth is out there, and it's closer than ever. The laboratories of Los Alamos, New Mexico, hum with the quiet intensity of discovery. Hidden among the pine-covered hills, this facility has long been a crucible for cutting-edge science, from the atomic bomb to quantum computing. In August 2025, a new name emerged from its shadows. Dr. Evelyn Harper, a physicist who claims to have worked on a clandestine project to reverse engineer technology from unidentified aerial phenomena. Her story, shared in a series of encrypted video interviews circulated on X, offers a tantalizing glimpse into what the government might have learned and what it's still hiding. Harper's career began in the 1990s, analyzing advanced propulsion systems for the Department of Defense. By 2005, she was recruited to a black-budget program at Los Alamos, one she describes as operating outside standard oversight. Her task was to study materials recovered from UAP crash sites, including the object Robert Salazar saw at Holloman in 2007. In a dimly lit studio, her face partially obscured for anonymity, Harper speaks with measured precision. The materials were unlike anything terrestrial, she says, her voice steady but weighted. They exhibited properties, shape memory, energy absorption, even gravitational anomalies that suggested a technology centuries ahead of ours. Harper's claims center on a specific alloy, which she calls metamaterial for its ability to change properties under electromagnetic fields. She describes a sample no larger than a dinner plate that could bend light around it, rendering it nearly invisible. Her team's experiments, conducted in a shielded lab, revealed the material could manipulate space-time at a microscopic level, a concept she likens to theoretical warp drives. We weren't just studying it, she says, we were trying to replicate it. And we made progress. Her story aligns with a leaked 2025 Los Alamos memo, obtained by an anonymous hacker group and posted on X in July. The document, marked Top Secret, references a Project Horizon focused on non-terrestrial technology integration. It mentions successful tests of a low-energy gravitational field generator in 2018, a breakthrough Harper claims her team achieved. The Pentagon dismissed the memo as unverified, but its details, specific isotopes, energy outputs, lend credibility among scientists. Dr. Alan Kessler, a theoretical physicist at Stanford, has reviewed the leaked memo. In a sleek office overlooking the campus, he explains the science. If Harper's telling the truth, we're talking about a paradigm shift, he says, gesturing to a diagram of space-time curvature. A material that manipulates gravity could lead to propulsion without fuel, faster than light communication, even time dilation. It's not just alien, it's rewriting physics. Kessler cautions that replication would require decades, but the memo's data suggests someone's already started. Harper's story isn't without precedent. In 2017, a New York Times article revealed the Pentagon's ATIP program, which studied UAPs and their materials. A 2025 follow-up report, published in August, cited whistleblowers who described off-world vehicles stored at secure facilities. Harper's account adds a new layer, suggesting not just storage but active experimentation. They've built prototypes, she says, her voice dropping. Small drones, maybe 10 feet across, using hybrid tech. I saw one hover silently. No heat, no sound, in a test chamber. The implications ripple beyond science. In Las Vegas, a retired aerospace engineer named Clara Thompson shares a related story. Sitting in a cozy cafe, her hands tracing patterns on the table, she recalls working on a Lockheed Martin project in the 2010s. We were given materials to test, thin, flexible, almost weightless, she says. They told us it was experimental, but the specs didn't add up. Years later, I heard whispers it came from a crash site. Thompson's account, posted on X in August 2025, gained traction, with users linking it to Harper's claims. A viral post read, "They're building UFOs with our tax dollars. Circa Project Horizon." Public reaction to Harper's interviews was seismic. By September 2025, protests erupted outside Los Alamos, with demonstrators chanting, "Show us the truth." X buzzed with speculation. One user sharing a grainy video of a disc-shaped object over the New Mexico hills captioned, "Los Alamos Test, August 2025. Another post from On Truth Seeker 2025 asked, if they've cracked alien tech, what's stopping them from weaponizing it? A Gallup poll from September showed 74% of Americans believed the government was developing UAP-derived technology in secret. The historical context lends weight to Harper's claims. Declassified documents from 2023 reveal a 1950s program called Project Starlight, which studied recovered artifacts at Los Alamos. A 2025 Freedom of Information Act release uncovered a 1980s memo mentioning advanced propulsion trials at the site. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist who's tracked UFOs for decades, sees Harper's story as a continuation. In her living room, surrounded by yellowed files, she holds up a 1990s whistleblower letter describing similar experiments. "They've been at this for generations," she says. "Harper's just the latest to break ranks." But Harper's decision to speak wasn't without cost. She claims to have faced threats, her home surveilled, her credentials questioned. "They want me to disappear," she says, her voice tinged with defiance. But the truth is too big now. Her videos, hosted on encrypted servers, have been downloaded millions of times, fueling a movement that refuses to be silenced. The scientist's secret connects the Nevada incident, Salazar's tale, and Fravors' encounters to a broader narrative. If Harper is right, the government isn't just hiding evidence, it's building a future with it. As autumn 2025 approached, a new development would shift the focus to the skies above Ohio, where a mass sighting would challenge every explanation. The New Mexico sun sets, casting long shadows across the desert. High above, a faint light pulses, moving in ways no aircraft should. The story is growing and the world is watching. The night sky over Dayton, Ohio is usually quiet, a patchwork of stars and the occasional airplane bound for Columbus. But on September 14, 2025, that calm shattered. Just after 9 p.m., hundreds of residents reported a spectacle that would dominate headlines and X feeds for weeks, a formation of glowing objects moving in unison, hovering above the city before vanishing into the clouds. Dubbed the Ohio Skyfall, this mass sighting wasn't just another UFO report. It was a public reckoning, captured on countless phones and impossible to dismiss. The event began in a suburban neighborhood near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, a facility long rumored to house UFO artifacts. Families at a high school football game noticed the first lights, 7 orbs arranged in a perfect V, pulsing with a soft white glow. Within minutes, the crowd was filming, their videos flooding X with captions like "Dayton's under invasion" and "This is real." By 9:30 p.m., police scanners buzzed with calls and local news crews raced to the EE scene. The objects lingered for nearly an hour, performing maneuvers, sharp turns, sudden stops, that no known aircraft could match. Sarah Bennett, a schoolteacher who witnessed the event, stands in her backyard, the same spot where she filmed the lights. Her hands fidget as she recalls the moment. "It wasn't just the lights," she says, her voice tinged with awe. "It was how they moved, like they were dancing. No sound, no engines, just this eerie silence. My kids were terrified, but I couldn't look away." Her video, posted on X, shows the orbs weaving through the sky, their glow reflecting off low clouds. It garnered over 5 million views in 24 hours. Bennett wasn't alone. Across Dayton, from downtown lofts to rural farms, people reported the same formation. A delivery driver, Jamal Carter, saw the objects while parked near the Miami River. Sitting in his truck, the city skyline faint in the distance, he describes the experience. "They weren't drones," he says, shaking his head. "Drones don't move like that, splitting apart and coming back together. It felt like they were watching us." His dashcam footage, shared on X, captures 3 orbs breaking from the formation, descending briefly, then rejoining the group. The Ohio Skyfall stood out for its scale. The National UFO Reporting Center logged over 1,500 reports from that night, the highest single-day total in its history. A map of sightings would show a dense cluster over Dayton, with outliers stretching to Cincinnati and Columbus. Dr. Elizabeth Carter, the MIT astrophysicist from Part 1, analyzed the footage. In her office, surrounded by star charts, she points to a still image of the V formation. These objects exhibited coordinated motion, like a flock of birds, but at speeds exceeding 1,000 miles per hour, she says. No human technology can do that without sonic booms or heat signatures. Carter's analysis aligns with a 2025 Pentagon report leaked in October, that describes swarm behavior in recent UAP sightings. The document, obtained by a Washington Post journalist, suggests the military has tracked similar formations since 2020, often near sensitive sites, like Wright-Patterson. The base's history fuels speculation. Declassified 2023 files confirm it was a storage site for anomalous materials in the 1950s, and rumors persist of underground facilities housing crashed craft. On X, a Skywatcher 2025 posted, "Ohio Skyfall, Dry, Wright-Patterson test gone public. Saistu UAP truth." The government's response was swift but vague. On September 15th, the Air Force issued a statement attributing the lights to a classified training exercise. Local officials, including Dayton's mayor, echoed the explanation, urging calm, but the public wasn't convinced. A September 2025 CNN poll found 69% of Ohioans believed the lights were extraterrestrial or secret technology, not a routine drill. Protests erupted outside Wright-Patterson, with signs reading, "Stop the lies," and "We saw the truth." X buzzed with videos of the base's gates, floodlights sweeping the perimeter as helicopters circled overhead. For context, we turn to Dr. Marcus Reed, the former DARPA engineer from Part 2. In his cluttered office, he examines a map of UAP sightings near military bases. "Dayton's no coincidence," he says, tapping Wright-Patterson's location. "If they're testing UAP-derived tech, as Dr. Harper suggested, a swarm of drones with advanced propulsion makes sense. But if it's not ours, the question is, why show up now?" Reed's theory, that the objects were either a deliberate display or an uncontrolled incident, gained traction online, with ex-users debating whether the skyfall was a message or a mistake. Civilian witnesses added fuel to the fire. In nearby Springfield, a retired firefighter named Linda Carter, no relation to Dr. Elizabeth Carter, reported a secondary sighting the same night. From her porch, she saw a single orb detach from the formation and hover over a field. "It was close enough to see details," she says, her voice steady. "It wasn't smooth. It had ridges like a seashell, glowing from within." Her sketch, shared on X, sparked comparisons to the Nevada incidents disk, with users speculating about a common origin. The Ohio Skyfall also revived older stories. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist, connects the event to a 1965 incident near Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, where a bell-shaped object reportedly crashed. In her living room, surrounded by files, she holds up a witness drawing from Kecksburg, eerily similar to Linda Carter's sketch. "Mass sightings like Dayton's aren't new," she says. "They're peaks in a cycle. The government scrambles to explain them, but the patterns don't lie." A 2025 Freedom of Information Act release uncovered a 1960s Air Force memo referencing formation flights of UAPs, lending weight to Howe's claims. As the dust settled, the Ohio Skyfall left more questions than answers. Was it a military test, a non-human display, or something stranger? By October 2025, a new figure would emerge, a hacker claiming to have accessed classified UAP footage, offering a window into the government's deepest secrets. The Ohio night fades, the city lights twinkling below a now-empty sky. Somewhere, a faint glow lingers on the horizon, a reminder that the truth is still out there. The digital world is a shadow realm, where secrets hide behind layers of code and encryption. In October 2025, a figure known only as Cypher emerged from this underworld, claiming to have breached a Pentagon server containing classified UAP footage. The leak, first shared on an obscure X account before spreading like wildfire, included grainy videos and documents that appeared to show objects defying physics, objects the government had never acknowledged, for a public already electrified. By the Ohio Skyfall, Cypher's revelation was a match to dry tinder, igniting debates about truth, trust, and what lies beyond. Cypher's first post on October 8, 2025, contained a 30-second clip labeled Nevada Test Range 2023. The footage, shaky but clear, showed a disc-shaped object hovering above a desert runway, its surface shimmering like liquid metal. It performed a series of rapid maneuvers, spinning, darting sideways, then vanishing in a blur, before the video cut to black. Accompanying the clip was a single line. They've been testing them for years. Within hours, the post had millions of views, with ex-users sharing it under hashtags like #OiCipherLeak and #UAPTruth. By morning, the account was suspended, but mirrors of the video proliferated across the platform. In a virtual interview, conducted through encrypted channels, Cypher's voice is distorted, their identity hidden. "I'm not a hero or a villain," they say, the words clipped and deliberate. "I'm just someone who found a door left unlocked. The public deserves to see what's behind it." Cypher claims to have accessed a Department of Defense database linked to Area 51, uncovering a trove of UAP-related files. Among them, footage from 2020 to 2025, showing objects similar to those in the Nevada incident and Ohio skyfall, and a report detailing experimental craft with non-human origins. The leaked documents, posted alongside the videos, describe a program called Project Ether, allegedly focused on testing UAP-derived technology. One memo dated June 2024 mentions a prototype vehicle capable of trans-medium travel, moving seamlessly between air, water, and space. Another references a 2023 incident where a test craft escaped containment near Area 51, prompting a lockdown. On X, our For Truth Seeker 2025 wrote, "Cypher's leaks confirm Harper's story. They're flying these things. Project Ether." To assess the leaks, we turn to Dr. Marcus Reed, the former DARPA engineer from earlier parts. In his cluttered office, he examines a still from Cypher's video, the disc frozen mid-spin. "If this is real, it's a game changer," he says, his voice a mix of excitement and caution. The maneuvers match what Dr. Harper described: silent propulsion, instantaneous acceleration. It's either our tech, built from recovered materials, or something else entirely. Reed notes the video's metadata aligns with military-grade equipment, suggesting authenticity, though he warns of potential disinformation. The public's reaction was immediate and intense. By mid-October 2025, protests swelled outside Area 51, with thousands chanting, "Release the tapes," and holding signs reading, "Cypher speaks truth." X became a battleground, with users like a Skywatcher 2025 sharing alleged stills from other Cypher leaks, including a triangular craft over the Pacific. A viral post read, "They can't hide this anymore, the world's watching." A Pew Research poll from October showed 76% of Americans believed the government was testing alien technology, the highest figure ever recorded. But not everyone was convinced. Dr. Alan Kessler, the Stanford physicist from Part 5, urges skepticism. In his office, surrounded by equations, he analyzes the leaked report. The science is plausible: gravitational propulsion, energy shielding. But the source is unverified, he says, adjusting his glasses. Cypher could be a whistleblower or a psyop to muddy the waters. The government's silence doesn't help. Kessler's caution reflects a broader debate on X, where some users accused Cypher of fabricating the leaks to sow chaos. The government's response was predictably muted. On October 10th, a Pentagon spokesperson called the leaks unsubstantiated and warned against foreign disinformation campaigns. The FBI launched an investigation into Cypher, but no arrests were made. Meanwhile, a 2025 Freedom of Information Act release unrelated to the leaks revealed a 1990s program called Project Sentinel, which monitored UAP activity near military bases. The timing fueled speculation that Cypher's files were part of a larger, still hidden archive. Civilian witnesses added context to the leaks. In Reno, Nevada, a bartender named Miguel Torres recalls a 2023 sighting that matches Cypher's footage. Sitting in a dimly lit bar, he describes seeing a disc-shaped object near the desert. "It moved like nothing I've ever seen," he says, his hands tracing its path. "Spinning, then gone in a flash. I thought it was a military test, but after Cypher's video, I'm not sure." His story, shared on X, gained traction, with users linking it to the leaked clip. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist, sees Cypher's leaks as a turning point. In her living room, surrounded by decades of research, She holds up a 1980s whistleblower letter describing similar test flights. "This is the culmination of everything we've been chasing," she says, her voice steady. "They've been experimenting with this tech since Roswell, maybe earlier. Cypher's just pulled back the curtain." Howe's archives include a 2023 declassified memo referencing aerial anomalies during Area 51 tests, lending credence to the leaks. The hackers' revelation built on the momentum of 2025's earlier events: the Nevada incident, Fravor's confession, Salazar's tale, Harper's claims, and the Ohio skyfall. Each piece suggested a government grappling with secrets too big to contain. By November 2025, a new voice would emerge, a politician breaking ranks to demand full disclosure, pushing the debate into the halls of power. The Nevada desert stretches. Under a star-filled sky, its silence broken by a faint hum. Somewhere hidden in the darkness, the truth waits to be uncovered. The marble halls of the U.S. Capitol hum with the weight of history, where whispers of power and policy shape the nation. In November 2025, a new voice rose above the din. Senator Laura Mitchell of New Mexico, a rising star known for her tenacity. On the Senate floor, she delivered a speech that would reverberate across the country, demanding full disclosure of the government's UAP programs. Fueled by the year's events, the Nevada incident, the Ohio skyfall, Cypher's leaks, Mitchell's stand marked a turning point, pulling the UFO debate from the fringes into the heart of American politics. Mitchell's journey began in her home state, where constituents flooded her office with stories of strange lights and military cover-ups. The Nevada incident, unfolding near her district, hit close to home. By autumn, Cypher's leaked footage and the public's growing unrest convinced her to act. On November 3, 2025, she addressed a packed Senate chamber, her words live-streamed to millions. "The American people deserve the truth," she said, her voice steady but fierce. "For too long we've been told to look away from the skies, no more. If our government possesses evidence of non-human technology, it's time to open the books." The speech, posted on X, went viral, amassing over 20 million views in 48 hours. Users rallied behind her, with hashtags like Mao Mitchell for Truth and UAP disclosure trending globally. A post from a Skywatcher 2025 read, "Finally someone in DC with guts. Show us the files." But Mitchell's call wasn't just rhetoric. She introduced the UAP Transparency Act, a bill requiring the Pentagon and intelligence agencies to declassify all UAP-related records within 180 days. The proposal sent shockwaves through Washington, exposing fault lines among lawmakers. In her Santa Fe office, surrounded by desert landscapes framed on the walls, Mitchell explains her resolve. "This isn't about politics," she says, leaning forward, her eyes sharp. "It's about trust. My constituents see things, lights, objects, things that don't make sense. They're not crazy and they're not alone. If the government knows more, it's our duty to share it." Mitchell's personal connection runs deep. Her uncle, a rancher near Roswell, claimed to have seen a crashed object in the 1970s, a story she once dismissed but now reconsiders. The senator's stand drew both allies and critics. Dr. Elizabeth Carter, the MIT astrophysicist, supports the bill. In her office, she gestures to a stack of declassified UAP reports. "Science thrives on openness," she says. "If there's data, materials, propulsion systems, anything, we need to study it publicly." Mitchell's bill could change everything. Carter's analysis of the Ohio skyfall footage, shared with Mitchell's team, bolstered the senator's case, showing objects with capabilities beyond known technology. But opposition was fierce. Senator James Caldwell of Virginia, a defense hawk, called the bill reckless. In a CNN interview, he argued that declassification could compromise national security. "We don't know what we're dealing with," he said, his tone grave. "Releasing sensitive data risks giving adversaries an edge." On X, users debated Caldwell's motives, with a Truth Seeker 2025 posting, "He's protecting the cover-up. No more secrets." A leaked 2025 Pentagon memo, obtained by Reuters in November, hinted at internal resistance, warning that premature disclosure could destabilize public confidence. The public, however, was undeterred. By late November, protests spread to Washington, D.C., with thousands marching on the National Mall chanting, "Truth Now," and waving signs with Mitchell's face. X buzzed with videos of the rallies, one showing a drone projecting Cypher's leaked footage onto a government building. A Gallup poll from November 2025 showed 78% of Americans supported the UAP Transparency Act, a record high. The pressure was palpable, and Mitchell's bill gained co-sponsors, including a surprising ally from the Republican side. To understand the stakes, we turn to Linda Howe, the investigative journalist who's tracked UFOs for decades. In her living room, surrounded by files, she pulls out a 1990s congressional report on Project Blue Book. "Every time disclosure gets close, the system pushes back," she says, her voice calm but firm. "Mitchell's different. She's not backing down. But she's up against a machine that's been hiding this since the 1940s. Howe's archives include a 2023 declassified memo admitting to limited public briefings on UAPs, suggesting a long-standing strategy of control. Civilian voices amplified the call. In Albuquerque, a nurse named Teresa Vargas shares a recent sighting that echoes Mitchell's constituents. Standing outside her hospital, the city lights fading into the desert, she describes a triangular object over the Sandia Mountains in October 2025. "It was massive, silent, with lights at each corner," she says, her voice soft but certain. "I posted it on X, and people said it matched Cypher's leaks. We need answers." Her video showing a dark shape against the starry sky gained traction, with users linking it to the Ohio skyfall. The senator's stand also revived older stories. In Roswell, a retired teacher named Henry Lopez recalls his father's account of the 1947 crash. Sitting in a diner, the walls adorned with UFO memorabilia, he speaks quietly. "Dad saw debris in the desert. Strange metal, like foil but unbreakable," he says. He was told to forget it. Mitchell's bill could prove he wasn't lying. Lopez's story, shared on X, resonated with users posting, "Roswell's the key, your UAP disclosure." As winter approached, Mitchell's bill faced a crucial vote. Behind closed doors, intelligence officials briefed senators, reportedly showing classified footage that left some shaken. On X, rumors swirled of a smoking gun video, possibly linked to Cypher's leaks. The debate was no longer abstract. It was a battle for the future of truth. The Capitol dome gleams under a grey November sky, its shadow stretching across the city. In the distance, a faint light flickers, too steady for a plane, too real to ignore. The fight for disclosure is just beginning. The Senate chamber is a theater of tension, where the weight of history presses against every word and gesture. On December 10th, 2025, it became the stage for a historic moment, the vote on Senator Laura Mitchell's UAP Transparency Act. The bill, demanding the declassification of all government records on unidentified aerial phenomena, had galvanized the nation, fueled by the Nevada incident, the Ohio skyfall, Cypher's leaks, and a year of relentless public pressure. As senators cast their votes, the world watched, knowing the outcome could redefine humanity's understanding of the skies. The debate leading up to the vote was fierce. Mitchell, standing at her podium, argued that secrecy had eroded trust. "The American people have seen too much to be dismissed," she said, her voice carrying through the chamber. "From Roswell to Dayton, they've witnessed the impossible. It's time for truth." Her opponents, led by Senator James Caldwell, warned of chaos. "Declassification risks exposing sensitive programs," Caldwell countered, his tone measured but firm. "We must protect our nation's security." Behind closed doors, intelligence officials had briefed senators, showing classified footage that left some visibly shaken, though its contents remained secret. On X, the public weighed in, with millions posting under the UAP vote. A user at TruthSeeker 2025 shared a live feed of the Senate floor, writing, "This is it, no more excuses. UAP disclosure." Another posted a grainy image, allegedly from ciphers, leaks showing a metallic object in a hangar captioned, "They're voting on this." Protests swelled outside the Capitol, with thousands chanting, "Open the files," as snow dusted the National Mall. A CNN poll from December showed 80% of Americans supported the bill, the highest approval yet. The vote was razor close when the final tally appeared, 51-49 in favor. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Mitchell's bill had passed, mandating the release of UAP records by June 2026. On X, jubilation mixed with skepticism, with Skywatcher 2025 posting, "We won, but will they actually show us everything?" The Pentagon issued a statement promising compliance but cautioned that redactions may be necessary for national security. For many, it felt like a victory tinged with doubt. The real shock came days later. On December 15, 2025, a whistleblower, identified only as Source Alpha, leaked a memo claiming the government had opened a secretive vault at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The vault, rumored for decades, allegedly contained physical evidence of UAPs, debris, alloys, even partial craft. The memo, posted on X, described a limited access review triggered by the bill's passage, with select scientists invited to study the materials. A single photo accompanied the leak, a metallic fragment with strange, etched patterns, glowing faintly under ultraviolet light. Dr. Paul Whitaker, the Caltech materials scientist from Part 4, was among those reportedly consulted. In his lab, surrounded by humming machines, he examines a digital copy of the leaked photo. "This matches descriptions from earlier leaks," he says, his voice cautious but excited. "The patterns suggest a crystalline structure, possibly engineered at a nanoscale. If it's from the vault, it's not terrestrial." Whitaker's analysis, shared with Mitchell's team, fueled speculation that the vault held answers to decades of questions. The vault's existence wasn't entirely new. Declassified 2023 documents confirmed Wright-Patterson as a storage site for anomalous artifacts in the 1950s, and Robert Salazar's 2007 story hinted at similar facilities. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist, has long suspected such a repository. In her living room, surrounded by files, she holds up a 1960s Air Force letter referencing secure holdings at the base. "This is Roswell's legacy," she says, her voice steady. "They've been collecting since the 40s. The vault is real." And Mitchell's bill forced their hand. Civilian voices added urgency. In Dayton, Ohio, near Wright-Patterson, a mechanic named Daniel Kim shares a recent sighting that ties to the vault rumors. Standing outside his garage, the base's runways visible in the distance, he describes seeing a convoy of black trucks leaving the base at night in November 2025. "They were hauling something big, covered in tarps," he says, his hands gesturing, its size. "After the vote, I saw lights in the sky like the Skyfall, but smaller." His story, posted on X, gained traction, with users speculating the trucks carried vault materials. The vault leak sparked a new wave of sightings. In early December, residents of rural Pennsylvania reported a triangular craft near the Allegheny National Forest. A farmer, Emily Chen, captured it on her phone, the footage showing a silent, glowing object hovering above her fields. Sitting in her kitchen, the video playing on a tablet, she speaks quietly. "It wasn't a plane or a drone," she says. "It felt like it was scanning something. After the vault news, I wondered if they're moving things." Her post on X, tagged Gruscht Vault sightings, went viral, with users linking it to ciphers, leaks. The government's response was muted. On December 16th, the Department of Defense spokesperson called the vault memo speculative and denied any extraterrestrial materials at Wright-Patterson. But the denial rang hollow. A 2025 Freedom of Information Act release, unrelated to the leak, revealed a 1980s program called Project Archivist, tasked with cataloging non-standard artifacts. On X, a UAPC insider wrote, "They're scrambling. The vault's open and they can't close it now." As 2025 drew to a close, the UAP Transparency Act and the vault's unveiling set the stage for a final reckoning. By January 2026, a global summit on UAPs would bring together scientists, politicians, and whistleblowers, promising to reshape the conversation forever. The Ohio winter blankets Wright-Patterson in snow, its hangars silent under the gray sky. Somewhere beneath, a vault holds secrets that could change the world. The truth is closer than ever. The United Nations headquarters in New York stands as a beacon of global dialogue, its glass facade reflecting the January sky. On January 15, 2026, it hosted an unprecedented event, the Global UAP Summit, a gathering of scientists, politicians, whistleblowers, and civilians to address the phenomenon that had gripped the world. Sparked by the UAP Transparency Act's passage and the Wright-Patterson Vault revelations, the summit marked a turning point, forcing nations to confront the question, are we alone, and what has been hidden? For the United States, the epicenter of 2025's UAP awakening, this was the moment to face the truth, or risk losing it forever. The summit was Senator Laura Mitchell's brainchild, proposed after her bill's victory in December 2025. She saw it as a chance to globalize the conversation, moving beyond American secrecy to a shared pursuit of answers. In the UN's General Assembly Hall, Mitchell opened the proceedings, her voice resonant. "The skies belong to all of us," she said, addressing delegates from over 50 nations. "From Nevada to Nairobi, people have seen the impossible. It's time to unite our knowledge and demand transparency." Her speech, live-streamed on X, drew millions, with users posting under Daku's global WAP. This is history, no turning back. The summit's first day featured testimony from familiar voices. Dr. Evelyn Harper, the Los Alamos physicist who revealed reverse engineering efforts, spoke publicly for the first time, her identity no longer hidden. Standing at a podium, she described her work on UAP materials. "We achieved breakthroughs, propulsion, energy, even gravitational control," she said, her words measured but electrifying. "But the cost was silence. I'm here to break it." Her testimony, corroborated by the leaked Project Ether documents, sent shockwaves through the hall. On X, and Truthseeker 2025 wrote, "Harper's free, the secrets are out, Judea UAP Summit." Scientific analysis followed. Dr. Elizabeth Carter, the MIT astrophysicist, presented data from the Ohio skyfall and other 2025 sightings. In a conference room, her slides projected onto a screen. She explained the physics. "These objects defy inertia, heat, and sound," she said, pointing to a graph of their velocities. "They're not ours and they're not natural. We need global collaboration to understand them." Carter's call for an international UAP research body gained traction, with delegates from Japan and France pledging support. Civilian witnesses brought humanity to the discussion. Sarah Bennett, the Dayton schoolteacher from the Ohio skyfall, shared her story. Standing nervously before the assembly, she held up her phone, its video paused on the glowing orbs. "I'm just a mama teacher," she said, her voice trembling but clear. "But I saw something that changed me. We all deserve to know what it was." Her sincerity resonated, and her footage, now analyzed by global scientists, became a symbol of the public's stake in the truth. On X, Skywatcher 2025 posted, "Sarah's speaking for us all. People power." The summit wasn't without tension. US military officials, under pressure to comply with the Transparency Act, presented a heavily redacted report. A Pentagon spokesperson admitted to limited recoveries of UAP materials, but insisted no extraterrestrial origins were confirmed. The vagueness drew jeers from the audience, and on X, users like UAP Insider wrote, "Same old lies, show us the vault." A leaked 2026 memo surfaced days before the summit revealed internal Pentagon debates about releasing vault footage, hinting at objects inconsistent with human engineering. Other nations shared their own accounts. A Brazilian delegate described a 1977 incident in Colares, where glowing objects reportedly injured villagers. A Chinese scientist presented radar data from a 2024 sighting near Shanghai, showing objects with swarm behavior like Dayton's. These stories, once isolated, wove a global tapestry. Linda Howe, the investigative journalist, attended as an observer. In a quiet UN hallway, she reflected on the moment. "This is bigger than Roswell. Bigger than Area 51, she said, clutching a notebook filled with decades of research. The world's finally listening. The summit's most dramatic moment came on day 2 when Source Alpha, the Wright-Patterson Vault whistleblower, appeared via video link, their face obscured. The vault contains craft, fragments and biological traces, they said, their voice distorted. Some date back to the 1940s. The US has studied them in secret, but the truth belongs to humanity. The statement, unverified but compelling, sparked a standing ovation. On X, a user shared a new cipher leak, a photo of a vault chamber with a disc-like object, captioned, Source Alpha's Proof, FISO AP Vault. Public reaction was electric. By January 16, 2026, protests erupted worldwide, from London to Tokyo, demanding full disclosure. A Pew Research poll showed 82% of Americans believed non-human technology existed, and 65% supported sharing UAP data globally. X buzzed with summit clips, one showing a delegate's tearful plea, "Our children deserve the truth." In New Mexico, a rancher named Elena Martinez reported a new sighting during the summit, a silent, triangular craft over her fields. Standing in her pasture, she spoke softly. It felt like they were watching the world change, she said. Her video, posted on X, went viral, tagged Chaka's summit sighting. As the summit closed, delegates agreed to form a UN UAP task force, tasked with collecting global data and pressuring governments for transparency. Mitchell called it a first step, but challenges loomed. The US faced a June 2026 deadline to release vault records, and rumors swirled of resistance from intelligence agencies. On X, Sky Truth 2026 wrote, "The summit's a win, but the fight's not over. Just keep pushing." The story that began in a Nevada desert with Tom Hargrove's discovery had grown into a global movement. From Fravors' Tic Tac to Cypher's leaks, from the Ohio skyfall to the UN stage, 2025 proved the skies held secrets too big to contain. The question now is what comes next? Are these visitors, technology, or something beyond our grasp? The truth is no longer a distant star. It's within reach if we dare to look. The New York skyline fades into the night, the UN building a silhouette against the stars. High above, a faint light moves silent and steady, a reminder that the universe is watching. The reckoning has begun.